I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you
Greetings, technicians. This is Adam and Crow here, your coach of the Toronto Star Raptors, bringing you the team builder for season 3 week. I don't know how many week this is, but it is round 1 of playoffs. I did not forget to upload my final battle for the regular season. I just decided not to do it simply because the battle itself didn't really matter. If you guys wanted to know, the Raptors did actually finish not only top of our division, but actually I believe we finished top with the record of top of our conference overall. And we did end up losing the last battle to Yeesh, but due to some personal reasons, I didn't really get around to have a chance to make the upload, just being really busy. I'm actually really sick right now as I'm recording this, but me and Clutch are the first round of opponents for this round 1 of season 3 playoffs. So me and Clutch actually have a really interesting record going back. He beat me 3 times in a row across 2 different leagues, and we were finally managed to beat him in the regular season this time around in the PCL, despite of our poor matchup, sand versus rain. So this time around, I'm gonna bring a similar team, but not completely the same as what I brought the first time. I believe the only reason that we won that first game was because he didn't really have good ways to deal with toxic spikes, and after that he made a couple of transactions, including a different ring setter, Pelipper. His entire roster and his team should appear to the right by now. And also his mega, he dropped a mega Gardevoir for Mega Diancie, and he also dropped something else for Mushana, but I'm not as worried about Mushana. The worst thing that Mon can do to me is just setting up Trick Room. So this time I decided to go with a little bit different route. Initially I was gonna bring webs against him, but it wasn't as good because he does have that Celesteela and Pelipper. Both mons are not grounded, and also Diancie, he does have that access to clear body before a mega evolution. He might try to abuse that, and it's gonna be very difficult to try to play around magic bounce as well. Initially I brought Galvantula with webs, Choice Scarf, and Hidden Power Steel to basically have the lead matchup against him, but that didn't prove to be very useful in mock, simply because as much as I want to bring both Galvantula and Volcarona again against him, but for the Celesteela, it's just it doesn't match up. They don't really match up very well against the rest of his members, especially the Diancie and the Pelipper, the 2 very new additions to his squad. So this time around, I did decide to go with a little bit different route, and another reason, aside from the T-Spikes, right, I was being able to catch him off guard with Scarf T-Tar last time we played. You'll see this time what I have for him. So first up, we do have Nihilego Nova, packing a Choice Scarf with the ability Beast Boost, and the movesets are Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Ice, Power Gem, and Sludge Wave. Last time I said Nihilego is very good against him with either a T-Spike set or a Choice Scarf set. So last time I brought T-Spikes, this time I want to. He's definitely gonna have hazard control, and the best mon to do it, or I guess to be able to control hazard on his squad, will be that defog on Pelipper. That's what I'm expecting. Or he can also go with the magic bounce on the Mega Diancie, but that thing doesn't really switching well against Nihilego anyways. Well, in fact, nothing switches well against Nihilego, aside from Garchomp on his roster, because his steel type doesn't resist rock. So rock spam is actually really good against him. That's why I do have both Nova and Nero, 2 of my rock types coming this week. Thunderbolt for the primarily Pelipper and Celesteela, and Hidden Power Ice for the Garchomp, Power Gem against everything else, Sludge Wave in case I do need I do need that a little bit more neutral damage, as it is a little bit stronger than Power Gem once I get rid of Celesteela. Packing the Choice Scarf because he had a Choice Scarf Garchomp last time around, so I want to be able to check that thing with my Choice Scarf Nihilego. The EV spreads are just max special attack and max special speed. Max speed almost, just to ensure myself to outspeed the Garchomp. So up next we do have Tyranitar Nero packing the Choice Scarf again with the ability Sand Stream. So last time I was being able to catch him off guard with the Choice Scarf T-Tar, right? So he definitely have to keep that in mind when he plays me. Initially I had a Dragon Dancing set or a Choice Band set trying to take advantage of his switches. So it didn't really work out in my mock simply because I asked Lo-Fi play in a way that that he's aware of the potential of me bringing Choice Scarf T-Tar. Even if I try to abuse the switch by going for either Dragon Dance or a Banded Attack, he can very easily revenge kill me with his rain. So the only way, I still think Choice Scarf T-Tar is the best T-Tar set I can bring against him, simply because it changes the weather, allows me to get rid of his rain, and also at the same time be able to check his Raikou, which is another mon that I have a lot of trouble dealing with. Simply because I do have to bring Manaphy, which is one of my very few water resist, and Raikou acts as a very good check to Manaphy. With a Jolly max speed, this ensure me to outspeed Timid max speed Raikou, and plus if he wants to run Aura Sphere on his Raikou, it has to be rash, meaning he might not necessarily outspeed Manaphy. Actually, now I mentioned it, I just remember, yeah, if I run Timid max speed Manaphy, I might be able to outspeed the Raikou. I have to double check on that, but it's very unlikely that I'll be changing my set. But if he does run Aura Sphere on his Raikou, it has to be rash, meaning I probably don't need this much speed on the Tyranitar. But the fact that he dropped Mega Gardevoir for Mega Diancie also gives him base speed of 110. A speed tier of 110, so I also need I also need to run Jolly in order to outspeed the Mega Diancie anyways, so I just tiered for Raikou just in case. The set is very similar to last time, last time what I brought last time. I didn't have Facade this time around. I have Ice Punch for the Garchomp in case he's defensive, Rock Slide over Stone Edge because I don't want to miss. We're playing against Clutch. The next thing we know is him winning due to a Stone Edge miss, right? Anyways, it also gives me an opportunity to flinch him, and Earthquake for Diancie and Raikou primarily, and Crunch for everything else. He doesn't have switching very well to Crunch either. His Dark Resist is Diancie if I am not mistaken. So up next we do have Chompo, the Mega Garchomp, packing the Garchomp Pite and the ability Rough Skin. Not Sand Veil this time, not Sand Veil, even though I'm bringing Sand because it never worked for me. So Rough Skin gives me a little bit better matchup, Garchomp against Garchomp. I should be able to live any hits he wants to go for unless he's Bandit with my investment. The movesets are Stealth Rock, Dragon Tail, Fire Fang, and Earthquake. Dragon Tail for facing, Earthquake for my main stab. In combination of Dragon Tail, it hits everything on his roster, and plus the Fire Fan for the Celesteela. Stealth Rock, this is my rocker for this week. A lot of HP with Careful Nature for that special defense in case he wants to bust out a Hidden Power Ice from his Raikou, and also actually I don't even know if I live a Hidden Power Ice. I have to double check on that as well. But a lot of just a mixed defensive Garchomp for me to get up rocks. I should be able to live a hit from his Garchomp if he's not banded again, and just be able to face him out with a Dragon Tail after I get up my rocks. Yep, I believe that's it. Up next is like, yeah, I didn't really calc for any of the defenses, but which I probably should, but in the long run it doesn't really matter. This set did putting a lot of work in the mocks. It also takes Scald in the rain from Pelipper pretty well. I should live one from Kingdra as long as he doesn't go for Ice Beam or Dragon move as well. So up next we do have Wintel Jr. and the Gligar. Packing the Eviolite and the ability Stand Veil. The reason that I brought this, right? First of all, check this out. I have a Baton Pass, Earthquake, Roost, and Swords Dance, right? I never managed to Baton Pass Swords Dance throughout the entire season, simply because I don't have a lot of physical attackers on my roster, so I don't have a lot of Baton Pass Swords Dance receivers, so I didn't think it was worth running, but I figured this time it is a good week to run it. You'll see, aside from Mega Garchomp and Tyranitar, Scarf Tyranitar, I do actually have another sweeper. You guys will see a little bit, but Baton Pass is basically there for momentum instead of U-turn. Even if I don't pass anything, just a dry Baton Pass is very good. Earthquake for my main stab. Also, I also need to run it to break the sub from Raikou. But of course this says it's walled entirely by Celesteela. This is my main switch into Celesteela as well, simply because he does have that ground DMZ potential of Z Earthquake coming from Celesteela. And this thing can also take hits from Garchomp if I need to, but again, I get 2 hit KO'd if he's banned. So that's kind of bad. One of my options is basically to lead with Nihilego. I don't believe I OHKO Garchomp with my investment with Hidden Power Ice if he does lead with it, but he doesn't kill me in one hit unless he goes for, unless he goes for Earthquake. So what I mean to say is, because last time I have a Focus Sash lead, so this time he very well may not lead with Garchomp. He might go with a Pelipper lead or even Mega Diancie lead. Diancie doesn't live any hit I want to go for, and he can safely fire off a Diamond Storm or even Earth Power for my Klefki. I don't really have a lot of switch-ins for that, but if he does lead with Garchomp, right, the only way he will be able to kill a quote-unquote potential Sash set is by being Sash himself or being Choice Scarf, which I am Choice Scarf as well, so he doesn't actually beat me in that regard. But also he can run a Dual Chop set or a Choice Band set. There's a lot of sets he can run to beat my Nihilego lead, but not with Focus Sash. So I'm trying to use that to my advantage to bluff the same Focus Sash lead again with Nihilego. And the only thing that I was afraid of is that him being a Dual Chop variant just to break my Sash. But then again, I don't think I die to one hit if he is not Choice Band. So I'll be able to, so it doesn't really check my Focus Sash in a sense. That's what I'm trying to say. And at the same time, if he does lead with Garchomp, and I'll just probably trade my Nihilego for the Garchomp by going for Hidden Power Ice, banging him on going either to switch or go for Stealth Rock on my Nihilego. Even if he wants to go for Dual Chop or Earthquake, that's fine. I just need the damage on the Garchomp. But if he's Yachi Berry, that's gonna be kind of bad. So we'll have to see probably. In my mocks, a lot of battles came down super close, so I'm not really comfortable with the team that I brought. But then again, I think this is the best. It is the best team that I can possibly bring against Clutch, because I do have some surprise factors of my own, and my sets are relatively, I guess, more fun in my opinion, and more heat, and hopefully we can catch him off guard again. Going back to Gligar here, the mixed defensive allows me to take a +1 special offensive Raikou's Hidden Power Ice, and I can just either break the sub or hopefully not breaking the sub, but do a lot of damage to the Raikou with Earthquake, even if I have to use this thing to be able to check the Raikou. And again, this thing is basically, like, there's a lot of pressure on Gligar's shoulder this week, not only to be able to check Raikou, but at the same time be able to handle that potential ground MZ. So roots for recovery obviously, and Swords Dance BP I already explained, to pass into my physical attackers. And the physical defense helps me take on the Garchomp a little bit. Last time I also ran specially defensive, so I don't know what he's going to expect this time around. I thought about bringing a more physical defensive set, but there's so many things that I need Gligar to handle, and I have to be wary of the potential hidden power ice, because most of my ground types are actually quad weak to ice. So that's a little bit of a downfall, or I guess something I have to be careful with. That's why I'm leaning towards especially defensive Gligar every single time. So up next we do have Mizuaiko, the Manaphy, packing leftovers. He doesn't have a very good switch into Manaphy, but the matchup Manaphy have offensively against his team is very weird, simply because I don't actually outspeed a lot of things out of the mons that I expect him to bring, which are his Raincore, Garchomp, Mega Diancie, Raikou, and Celesteela, right? I only outspeed 3, or actually 2 of the 6 that I mentioned, being the Pelipper and Celesteela. The other 4 I do not outspeed, I believe. Obviously, I outspeed the Kingdra outside of Rain, which is what I have the speed tier for. The movesets are Rest, Ice Beam, Scald, and Tail Glow. Rest to abuse his Rain. I did not bring it last time. I was trying to save it for the rematch. I thought about bringing a more bulky offensive set. His roster did change from last time, so I didn't have to run max speed on the Manaphy, simply because I no longer speed tie with his potential of Mega Gardevoir. The fact that he got a higher speed tier actually worked in my favor as well, because I can run enough speed for the next fastest thing, which will be Kingdra, I believe, outside of Rain, which is what I have my speed set for. This allows me to run a lot more bulk. In mock, I actually lift the Thunderbolt from a Raikou. I don't know how that happened. I probably have to double check with some calc, but in theory this thing should live a T-Bolt from a Raikou if I am at more than 90%. And with a lot of, this is a really weird set too, with a lot of HP, a lot of defense, a lot of defense, and some special defense and special attack. This thing is basically to abuse his Rain and act as a check to his Kingdra. He very well may go for Draco against me, but I can just safely rest off the HP, get all my health back on the following turn, because he's going to be at -2. So unless he get like a Draco crit with, I don't know, like a Snipe Kingdra to bluff the Swift Swim in the Rain or something, I should be able to live a Draco and just heal back. Live 2 Dracos actually. I might need to calc that. I'm like putting up stuff, because the Draco play, I'm saying stuff that never happened in my mock, but the Draco actually never happened in my mock. This thing is more to act as a ring check for his water attacks. So it's one of my very few ring, I guess water resist. He also putting a tremendous amount of work in the ring, and after Tail Glow he doesn't really switching well against the Manaphy at all. His best switching was the Pelipper. I also thought about bringing a Hidden Power Electric Manaphy for his Pelipper specifically, but Ice Beam hits it neutrally anyways, and also gives me an offensive check to Garchomp. If he's somehow like defensive and not max speed, I'll be able to outspeed it and finish it off with Ice Beam. Which he very well may bring actually. I didn't prep for a physically defensive Garchomp. Lo-Fi actually brought it in one of the mocks. It gave me so much trouble. I couldn't break it from the physical side very well, and I didn't have any special coverage for the Garchomp. And Scald is just my main stab. You need to run Scald in case I get frozen. I thought about running like Surf or... Yeah, I thought about running Surf, but I don't want to risk of getting frozen from the Kingdra or something in the rain. So Tail Glow for setup. So yeah, I already went over the EV spreads. I had to run Timid to be able to outspeed a Timid or Jolly Kingdra. Another thing is like I had to run mixed defensive because I don't know which side the Kingdra is gonna run, physically offensive or specially offensive. He brought physically offensive last time we played with Sub, but actually I think a physically offensive set will make more sense against me, simply because I do have the Sand to boost my special attack, and Waterfall will KO an Heligo in Sand, while Hydro Pump does not, only if I'm in Sand, I'm pretty sure. So there's that. So up next we have the technician of this week, my basically my win count, right? Speaking of which, I think I will end up putting a little bit more speed on this thing, but this basically a max attack adamant nature, almost max HP and max completely max attack, him on top, TK'd him on top, coming back again. I only brought him once in the regular season against Fury. That was against a unburdened potential ability drum Slurpuff, and this time he's coming for the same purpose, but instead it's a Mega Diancie, another fairy. That's very scared of my bullet punches. This time I'm actually packing the choice band with ability technician, of course. Did I even run Intimidate this season? I don't think I did. The last time I brought it I was also technician. Anyways, with Mach Punch, Bullet Punch, Low Kick, and Stone Edge, right? I'm actually very proud of this set. This thing won the game pretty much every single time during my mock, but then again I had to rely a lot on prediction for it to work. But it's basically a way, because the Clutch has such a good speed tier against me and plus the ring, I need a priority to be able to check a lot of his mons. Mach Punch is my main way of dealing priority stab damage, but he does have two flying type on his team, one being the Celesteela, the other one being the Pelipper. Pelipper actually switched in very well against him on top, just any type of him on top. That's why I do have Stone Edge. Yeah, I had to run Stone Edge. Then again, the next thing you know is that Clutch will be able to dodge a Stone Edge and clutch off the game, right? But it is my best move to run to be able to hit both the Celesteela and the Pelipper. So I don't have to predict, but otherwise low kick actually does 120 damage to the Celesteela because it's so heavy. I didn't have to run close combat or anything, but Bullet Punch for the Mega Diancie and Mach Punch for everything else. So this thing actually does relatively well. It does 50% to the Raikou and Kingdra, and I believe around 30% to the Celesteela if he's defensive with Mach Punch, and I do up to 50% or a little bit around that if I am +2. So if I manage to get a Baton Pass into Baton Pass Sword Stance from Gligar into my TK in the late game, I can also finish off the game that way. The speed tier is just creeping a little bit in case he wants to creep me with his Celesteela. I don't know how much speed he's gonna run, but ideally I outspeed it and finish it off with low kick. But I'm not too much faster than it, and I don't know if he's going to speed creep him on top, because I don't think he's gonna expect me to bring him on top in the first place. It doesn't match up all that well against his team, but that's what we have to do, right? As a true technician, we have to start off the playoff with a technician mod. I'm actually playing Clutch in a little bit over 30 minutes here, so this is finally a pre-recorded team builder for once. I might have to change the speed tier here a little bit to match my Gligar, so that I can scout out what type of Celesteela he's running, or I can make the Gligar a little bit slower to match my TK, because I want to get a slow Baton Pass out. So we'll see a little bit in a little bit. Actually, why don't we do that now? Because in the mock there was a situation where it's Gligar versus Celesteela, and for the most part I am faster before he set up a potential autonomize. So I actually cannot Baton Pass into him on top because of the fact that I am faster, and I don't want to risk a air slash on him on top. So why don't we do that now? So instead of Careful Nature, I will be running a specially defensive but minus speed nature, so that's gonna be Sassy. So that will put me a little bit above the him on top. So if I run a little bit less EVs in speed, okay, so right now my Gligar is let me think. So I want to slow Baton Pass out. Sorry you guys have to go through this, but I want to get it done before the match. I don't want the Gligar to be, actually if the Gligar is faster than the Celesteela, I'll be able to roost off the damage. if the Gligar is slower than Celesteela, I'll be able to get a slow baton pass out into him on top. But him on top, if him on top is faster than Celesteela, I can go for a low kick. If I am slower, how do I find out if I'm slower? I will have to find out by sending Gligar against it at some point. And if Gligar is slower, then okay, I think this is good. Just by running, wow, there's some heat set already, heat spread. So by running the same speed as him on top, I think that's the safest thing to do. I will be able to find out if I'm slower than a Celesteela by going for a SD into baton pass. I don't know how much speed the Celesteela needs to run in order to outspeed me, but he shouldn't run too much speed unless he is autonomous set. Because I believe Celesteela does have a base speed of 61. It doesn't outspeed anything on my roster anyways. So I think I'll go with this. It gives me info on how fast his mons are with Gligar, just a comparison. So I think that's good. So I will know in the late game whether if I can safely outspeed with him on top or not. Actually, I'm gonna run a little bit more speed, 186, and then I'm gonna make the Gligar 185. So just running 31 in 31 IV in speed, but run a minus speed nature. So my Gligar will actually be slower than him on top. So if I do outspeed with my Gligar by scouting, I know for a fact that my him on top will outspeed. So yeah, this is good. This is gonna be the entire DE of my team against Clutch. So yeah, good luck to Clutch. By the time you guys see this team builder, the match is already being played, and yeah, this is gonna be the team. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the actual battle. This is gonna be Admin Crow here signing off. See you guys next time. Goodbye, technicians.